Hello lady peoples and menfolk, this is Nathan Schubert, St. Louis Public Library, and I know you're thinking, when did the British Ryan Gosling start work at St. Louis Public Library? But we're not going to talk about this work of art today. What we're going to talk about today are some tabletop games that we have at the library. And so it's the second day of spring break, and I'm sure you're thinking, what can I do? I have the whole week off and I need something to do. Well, I wanted to show you some of the games we have at the Teen Lounge that you can come in and you can play, and we have a really cool selection of games. The first game I want to talk about is Zombies. Zombies is a tabletop game, and the name is kind of a giveaway. It's about zombies. You play one of the survivors, and you can play 2 to 6 players. And the object of the game is to get to the helicopter whilst avoiding the zombie horde. You can fight the zombies, or you can try and avoid them. You draw cards, you have up to 3 cards to play actions, you get weapons, stuff like that. It's really fun, it's really competitive, and we've had some really fun games and some really devious things happening to players once you get going. It's a good game. The next game I want to talk about, well, it's actually 2 games, but it's the 2 sets, but it's the same game. This is the DC deck building game. The first set that came out was this one right here. And the idea, if you've never played a deck building game before, the idea, it's, you know, like a lot of deck games, but it's a little bit in the opposite. So you start with a small deck, and you use, depending on the game, various currency to buy more cards. In this game it would be power, but you play as a DC superhero. The initial game has the big guys like Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, stuff like that, and then you have a lineup of cards that can be equipment and villains and heroes, and you use your deck to buy more cards, and as the game goes on you can buy better cards. And the object of the game is to defeat the supervillains, which you have a stack of 12 supervillains, and they each take a different sort of power figure to beat. But you can also win. The game can also end when you work through the main deck. So depending on how people play, but we haven't played many games where it's ended, we've used up the main deck. You normally get through the supervillains first. It's a really fun game, it's really addictive, and because there's so many different cards, there's about 250 cards in here, it's a very different type of play every single time. The Heroes United is it's not an expansion pack, it's actually a completely different version of this. It's the same game, just you have different main heroes like Nightwing, Batgirl, Shazam, but it's exactly the same style of play. You use currency to build your deck and defeat the supervillains. There are different villains in it, different hero cards. If you play this, you can pick this one up straight away. You can put them together. I find just mixing them all together just makes the game too big and too long. So it's actually better to mix and match the cards if you want to mix them together. But they're both excellent games, really addictive, and there is a Marvel deck building game called Legendary, which we'll review and we'll talk about in another video. So this is the DC deck building game. And then the last game I wanted to talk about, which we've been playing a lot lately, is the Resident Evil deck building game. If you're familiar with Resident Evil, it's based on the video game. So the cool thing about that is if you're into the video game or you like Resident Evil, it's got all the characters: Wesker, Claire Redfield, Chris, Jill Valentine, and there's lots and lots of characters because there's lots and lots of expansion packs. This is Mercenaries. This is actually one of the expansion packs, but the cool thing about the expansion packs is once you buy them, they kind of know that you might probably have already bought all the others, so they give you enough space to put all of the cards in. So this is the main game and 3 of the expansion packs. There are actually 4 expansion packs. The cool thing about this game is you play as one of the Resident Evil heroes or villains. There's lots and lots of characters. And again, it's a deck building game, so you start with a weak deck and you use gold to buy stronger decks. But the cool thing about this is the main point of the game is to beat the big supervillain in the mansion. So there's a mansion, which is your main deck, and the game wants you to explore the mansion, and you can get weapons and you can do X number of damage. And when you explore the mansion, the top card you draw is a different villain, and it does, has a certain amount of health. If you don't beat it, it shuffles back into the deck and you take the damage. It's really cool because it's highly customizable. You can pull and take cards from different expansion packs, different bad guys, different elements of play. Like there's one expansion pack called Outbreak, which encourages players to explore the mansion faster, because if you don't, you get infected and eventually you will die and turn into a zombie, which is kind of cool because you get to attack other players. So this is a really fun game, and this is kind of a game we've been playing a lot lately. We really like it, and it's really fun. The Resident Evil game probably is four players maximum. Takes a couple of hours to play with 4 players, but it doesn't seem like that. It's really fun. The DC game, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how things are going, how the players whether they want to tackle the main villains all together. Zombies takes quite a while because there's a lot of movement for the zombies and stuff like that. But if you're bored and you've got nothing to do, you want to come down to the library, you want to play the games, we have our Game On program on Saturdays from 2 to 4. But if we are here and you want to come in, we'll play any of the games any of the time. So that's my review of some of the games we have right now at the library, and hopefully we'll see you here soon.